Welcome to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show. In this episode, we're talking Mandalorian on Disney Plus. We're talking Halo, the series on Paramount Plus, and we're going to dive into Bruno, the song, the hit song that's sweeping the nation right now, and connected to the Encanto movie. We're going to dive into all of that in this episode of the Orange Nerd Show. Up next. Welcome to another episode of the Orange Nerd Show. I brought my fantastic panel with me today. I have Vash Sky, host of Freshly Squeezed here on OG55, and I have King Ka returning his first time on the Orange Nerd Show. Really excited to have you on, Ka.
Super excited to be on this channel. It's something that I'm glad to be part of, and I cannot wait to dive in because I am a nerd at heart. So let's just get to it. Let's do it.
Let's get to it. So let's introduce. We'll go through the introductions and then we'll dive right in. So Vash, if you can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media, sir.
Well, the best place to interact with me is on Twitter. It's just right there, just like it's spelled, at Vash Sky. And to see me, well, it's on the channel you're watching right now, Orange Show 55, at Freshly Squeezed, your source for a juicy news and info squeezed fresh from the grove. So that is where you can find me.
Perfect. And Ka, if you can let everybody at home know where they could find you on social media, sir.
Of course. What's up, everybody? My name is King Ka. If this is your first time seeing me on the channel, you can find me at King Ka 92 on YouTube, or I think my YouTube just King Ka. I have to figure that out, but just type in King Ka and I will pop up. Instagram, King Ka _92, Twitter, King Ka 92, and all that fun stuff. If you want to follow me, that'll be great.
Perfect. And I will definitely link King Ka's social media down below. You could check him out, subscribe to him, follow him on Twitter. I'll link all that in the description down below. All right. So this is an episode of Orange Nerd where we talk about everything except the theme parks. We talk about TV, movies, streaming, Star Wars, Marvel, all that nerdy shit. We're going to dive into it. So the first topic today actually on the books is Mandalorian. So there was an article. Well, actually, I don't know if it originated from Screen Rant. I don't think it did. But it says here, The Mandalorian continues to top Star Wars and MCU Disney Plus viewership. It says a report shows that The Mandalorian's total viewership continues to dominate that of its fellow live-action Star Wars and Marvel shows. It says here that The Mandalorian continues its reign as the most viewed Disney Plus ship among both Star Wars and Marvel entities. The Hollywood Reporter has reported that The Mandalorian tops others in terms of total viewership in both season 1 and as well as season 2. The only series to come close was Marvel's Loki. So that's fascinating. Wow. That's fascinating. So, Ka, I'm going to start with you, sir. What are your thoughts on this? Are you surprised? Not surprised?
At this point, I don't know if you guys can see, but I am a Mandalorian super fan, and none of this surprises me because of the word of mouth. When you see, and especially not even word of mouth, you have Baby Yoda, who was front and center, obviously Grogu. I know the correct termination, but you have Grogu, who's been front and center before this show even came out. So the fact that Disney is throwing out this super adorable younger version of Yoda, who is sweeping merchandise all over, people are getting interested in what the show is about, not just, obviously to see Baby Yoda, but then they're also getting attached to the storyline. I'm honestly one of the people that have watched the show, not coming from a huge Star Wars fan base. I mean, I have watched the movies, but I was never too into it to be like, wow, I have to watch Mandalorian when it comes out. It just kind of struck me because I saw Grogu and I was just like, this thing is freaking adorable. I need to watch this show. So once I started watching it, I got really enthralled into it, and it just kind of catapulted from there. I became obsessed with it. Such a good show. And like people like me, it was kind of by word of mouth. You have to watch the show. You have to watch the show. So on top of that, and obviously I think it's been like 4 years now since this show's been out. There's 2 seasons, third one coming. It's bound to just be bigger. And I'm honestly not surprised that it's been topping. It's been dominant, to be completely honest. So, am I surprised? No. Simple answer. No, I'm not surprised.
Yeah. Well, and that's the beauty of like Star Wars at its best is when it's dealing with like kind of like those relationships, right? Whether you have like, you know, son and father relationships like Luke and Anakin, you know, Darth Vader, or you have Din, Djarin, and Grogu, you know, like a father-son thing. It's like these relationships really do define Star Wars, and that's really like at the heart of Star Wars, and Mandalorian really like just hit to the core of that whole thing, and it caught fire. Dre, I know you are a massive Star Wars fan. Are you surprised that that Mandalorian is kicking major butt here on D+? Are you not surprised?
No, I'm really not surprised, because just like King Ka astutely pointed out, I mean, that Grogu effect was huge. That was a massive deal, even bigger than I think than a lot of even its creators maybe initially thought it was going to be. They knew, I mean, you know, I think they knew that it was going to be big, which is why they kind of, you know, kept it hidden for a long time. Didn't even produce any merchandise, because that would have revealed that character early than they would have liked. But at the same time, that when that thing blew up and there was no merchandise available, that was kind of a missed opportunity there. It kind of, you know, kind of had to deal with those things as they come across. But no, I mean, you know, the like you said, OG, the kind of relationships in Star Wars, I think those are the kind of things that are pretty big. The more personal stories are really kind of intricately woven, and how those kind of relationships flesh out with other characters. I think that's a really big deal for the series, and they've been able to capitalize on it extremely well. It's quite interesting because the dynamic between Grogu and the Mandalorian was kind of based on an old, you know, I believe it was a Japanese film with I think it was like The Assassin and the Child or something like that, you know, that's kind of where that idea kind of came from, you know, following the lineage of what George Lucas started with his franchise, and, you know, following the Kurosawa films and so forth. But to kind of see it be blown up to this extent, I mean, it's pretty phenomenal. It's lightning in a bottle. It really is.
It is lightning in a bottle. It reminds me a whole lot, actually, of like, and I know my Star Wars people are gonna hate you for this analogy, but I really can't think of anything else that really fits. It kind of does remind me a lot of like what happened with Frozen and like Disney animation, you know, like Frozen was like you said, Dre, like that lightning in a bottle, like that one in a million kind of thing that just really caught fire, you know. And Mando is really that same thing with Mando, Grogu, all that. It really just caught fire. It was a pop culture thing that just changed everything. It really did. It was huge when it came out, and it was just that kind of success is really, really hard to duplicate. It really is. I mean, you know,
especially nowadays with everything being so, like, I don't know, like we're so, as people, we're so judgmental on a lot of things, and everything is hit or miss, and it's so nerve-wracking, I think, to create something new and to put it out. Whereas, like you said, Frozen just was like lightning in a bottle. It randomly just became big, and honestly, I never expected that to be big. I just thought it was just going to be another, you know, regular Disney princess movie. And then with The Mandalorian, I didn't expect it either, but a part of me also did expect it to be as big as it is, because once I saw the merchandise put out for it, and the way that people reacted before the show even came out, I was like, yeah, this is going to be big. To me, I was like, this is going to be huge. And Disney knew, for some weird reason, they knew that Grogu was going to be a big thing. In order for them to keep it secret for that long before even, like, you know, putting it out there into the world, like they had I think they had a hunch. But the fact that the show also can go in so many ways, whereas Frozen was primarily for, you know, little girls. I mean, boys, everybody, but really it was geared toward one audience, but thank God everybody liked it. But whereas Mandalorian, it has kind of everything for everybody. If you're into good storyline, it has a great storyline. If you're not even a Star Wars fan like that, you can still watch this show and kind of just have your own introduction into Star Wars. If you are into like the cuteness of babies and Yoda, and then you just like Grogu, like you're gonna watch it for Grogu. If you like hardcore action, then you're a guy and you're a boy, you're gonna love the Mandalorian and the way that the action takes place. Like it's literally such a great dynamic for everybody that I just can't be surprised that this is blown up. And then I was gonna say something else, but I'm gonna let you guys speak. But go ahead.
I perfectly agree with you. That 4-quadrant kind of appeal is really kind of the Mandalorian's strongest suit, right? I mean, there are some series on Disney Plus that may appeal to one demographic, maybe 2 quadrants, 3 quadrants, but really that 4-quadrant appeal is really where it's at with Mandalorian, like you said. I mean, it has something for everybody. Star Wars fans really dig it, and we'll maybe get into why that might be with maybe some fan service and that kind of interplay there. But you also have, like you said, Grogu is. I mean, I've had people who don't even like watch Star Wars, who don't even like Star Wars, who are like, oh man, I gotta watch that Mandalorian series. I mean, they're into it, and that causes them to like be Star Wars fans themselves. Immerse themselves more and more into the world, and now they're Star Wars fans. So it's like, it really did kind of like light up pulp culture in like the perfect way, and it was really brilliant in how they pulled it all off. So it's really good. The Japanese movie that inspired it, I just looked it up right now, The Lone Wolf and the Cub. So it's like a perfect analogy for Mandalorian and Grogu. It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool how that's all kind of worked out. But yeah, OG, what do you have to say about all this?
Well, yeah, no, I've had actually that experience in my personal life, like with coworkers. I have a coworker. I won't name her specifically. I don't know if she wants to be named, but she's never watched a Star Wars movie ever. Like the originals, the prequels, the new ones, none of them. Doesn't care. Not her thing. But Mandalorian, she was like there every week watching it. She loved it. She loved Grogu. You know what I'm saying? It drew her in. And that's really cool because it's like, Grogu is sort of, for a lot of people, kind of like the Trojan horse into the Star Wars universe, because like a lot of people like her would get into it because, oh, he's so cute, oh my God, look at him. But then like once you start watching it and then you're like, oh, okay, so what's this about the Jedi and the Force powers and all that? And you start to go down that rabbit hole and you start to become a fan because now you're starting to like, you're starting to question things. It's beyond, look, the cuteness of Grogu got you into it.
Yeah.
But then it's like the Star Wars mythology and all that might keep you into the franchise, might get you into other things, might get you into the prequels or the originals or what have you. So it really is kind of a cool thing. It brings in a lot of new fans. I think it brought in a ton of new fans actually. Okay. And lightning in a bottle. And I gotta say, like, even though like Mandalorian, and I'm a huge Star Wars guy, like honestly, like and Dre, you can attest to this, like I love Star Wars. I love Star Wars, but I'm a huge Marvel fan too. Star Wars, though, is really in my heart. I grew up with it, in the 80s and all that. But like, I am a huge MCU fan, and a lot of the MCU shows, they like on Disney Plus have been killing it. Like, I am a massive WandaVision fan. I love what they did with WandaVision. Yep, like the way, oh man, like like I love weird Marvel. Like the multiverse and all that stuff, it really interests me. And I was like really hooked on WandaVision. But so it's no disrespect to the Marvel shows, but Mandalorian's is a whole nother level. It
really is. I was thinking about that the other day where I was kind of like, to me, I don't think I've been hooked on a show as much as Mandalorian. Well, Disney Plus wise, Mandalorian, WandaVision. And there's kind of like, I haven't seen Loki yet, and it's so weird because people keep saying you need to watch it. I don't know why. I kind of just didn't watch, but I am getting into it. But I haven't seen Loki to say enough about it. I liked Hawkeye. I thought that was good. It was good. I wasn't that into Falcon and Winter Soldier. Like, it was cool for what it was, but it was like nothing compares to. You always kind of go back to for me, The Mandalorian, and I'm like, I'll just turn it on and just randomly watch it. And like I said, I was never that big into Star Wars. I mean, I watched the movies. I actually have my favorite characters and all that, but it's not like something I have plastered in my room or anything like that. But I'm a fan, but not as much as I am of The Mandalorian. And it really is something crazy. And now, so basically, I was going to talk about before is we know that the Book of Boba Fett came out, and I was sort of into it at the time. Like, I was curious, I guess. I was more curious to see where they were going to go with it, but I never got the chance to watch it until I think I went on Twitter, and it was like episode 4. They said, what was it? Grogu came back, and I immediately watched that episode. And this might be a spoiler for anybody that didn't watch it. Sorry. Grogu came back, and then from then on, everybody was saying this is basically like the Mandalorian 2.5. Not even season 3. It was 2.5. Like, it completely changed to like the Mandalorian. Obviously, you had Boba Fett, but I feel like because people, and I don't know why they did that per se, but once, and I want to look up like the numbers for it, like in terms of like viewership each week for the Boba Fett, because I feel like once Grogu came into play and that whole storyline with Luke, like it probably skyrocketed, because I was one of those people that were just like, whoa, now I have to watch it. And the ending, the last episode was literally just a Mandalorian episode, and I was like, what was the point of Boba Fett in a sense if you were going to make the last couple episodes literally just the Mandalorian? I didn't really get it, but I'm glad that they did that, because I was itching for more like the storyline of Grogu, Mandalorian, what is happening, what's going to happen. Now they left this on a cliffhanger, and I'm just like, I need more. Like, I need more. So if you haven't seen the Book of Boba Fett, just go to the last episode, and you're kind of just left at a cliffhanger, and you're waiting for season 3. That's all I have to say.
No, 100%, Kyle, 100%. Like, I like legit like teared up, like when Mando was there and then little Grogu like jumped in his arms in that finale. I was like, oh my god! See, that's the thing. That's the power of like what they built with the Mandalorian. Like, it's this really, really cool like father-son relationship with Din Djarin and baby Grogu. And it just hits hard. And like the Luke and Grogu stuff hit hard, and the finale hit hard. They just really created a cool, and that's one of the problems with the Book of Boba Fett is that Disney almost, and God, my Star Wars people are probably going to hate me again for saying this, but Disney kind of created a better version of Boba Fett with the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
It's a much more interesting character. I know Boba Fett's the original trilogy, yada, 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 but Mando is a much cooler character, I gotta say, and then his relationship with Grogu even makes it even better. And when you really contrast that and compare it with Boba, it pales in comparison. It really does.
It does.
It feels boring.
And it's weird how they went off on that Mando trail right there, and like halfway through the series, very disjointed. I'm not gonna even gonna sugarcoat it, but it was cool. Like, it was awesome that they did go in that direction, because it kind of it kind of solidified the fact that this was kind of part of a larger story playing out. It wasn't just Boba Fett, but it interacted with a larger kind of universe, right? Because it was very localized to his specific story. But it's like, is there a greater context to all this? And I am glad they went off in that direction and kind of elaborated on that. Maybe shouldn't have gone off as quite as hard, but hey, you know what? That's what they did. And it was enjoyable to watch anyway. So hey, that was pretty cool. Bringing in Luke, bringing in Djarin, that was, it's pretty rewarding for viewers. So hey, say Luffy. These things happen, but just like the, and then they, with the original Mandalorian series, they kind of they brought in new technologies for filmmaking. Obviously the volume that they brought in that allowed them to do stuff like Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and so forth. It's just been a really, really great ride, and yeah, like you said, OG, and and I cannot wait for season 3. Honestly, like that's the big thing now.
Yeah, no, 100%, 100%. And look, look, Mando's a huge thing, and Star Wars on D Plus has been very successful. But in terms of Marvel, though, there's one thing that Marvel has over the Star Wars Disney Plus shows: 70s Wanda.
Oh, see, you can't beat that. Can't beat that.
You're right. You know what? You're absolutely right. Oh, good one. I wasn't expecting that.
Well, look, if you have followed OG55 on his Twitter account, you know about this.
It's funny. That just popped into my mind. You're absolutely right, because I remember one of your posts, but go ahead. Dude, no. Speaking of, I'm sorry, I'm going completely off now that you
No, go ahead.
Go.
I don't know if you guys saw the new trailer for Multiverse of Madness for
I did.
Oh my gosh. I can't. You know what I'm really excited? I just can't wait to see Wanda in action. I think I've been itching for more Scarlet Witch after I think the finale, because I didn't get enough from that finale. Like, it was awesome to see her transform into the Scarlet Witch itself, but it's kind of like, now I need to see you kick ass. Like, I need to see you in action. I don't care if you're the villain. I don't care if you're like they're going after you. I just need to see you in action and just be the badass that you are. So I'm with you on that, OG. Completely.
It's kind of cool. Well, Elizabeth Olsen's great, by the way.
Oh, yeah.
She's amazing. But no, I mean, like the Russo brothers back in like the Civil War days and like the, Infinity War and stuff like that, they were alluding to the fact that she was like super powerful. Like, people can underestimate her, but she's like, she's got some hidden power within. So the fact that they're exploring that in Multiverse of Madness and stuff like that, I think it's a long time overdue. And it's let's see it. Like, let's see this character come to fruition, so to speak.
Yeah, and I know they're throwing in like new. I'm sorry, OG, if I cut you off. I know they're throwing in like a new character into Doctor Strange. Who's it? America Chavez?
Yes, Ms. Marvel.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, that's fine. I don't mind it. But I would like for Scarlet Witch to have a significant amount of screen time. I'm like, just give her own movie. I think she just needs her own movie. I just need to see what she does. She's just so cool. And she's so powerful. And I think that's what I'm just waiting for something big. I'm waiting for the next, like, a scene from Infinity War Endgame. I don't know why. I'm just itching for something just like boom, crazy. Like,
oh yeah. I'm 100% on your page, Kyle. Like, I want something big and like Scarlet Witch, Wanda, like, she is such a cool character. I love her arc. I love what they did for her in WandaVision. Like, as a kid, she would watch these sitcoms.
Yeah.
And that was sort of like the way she approached the Westview bubble, right? Like, she wanted that sitcom world because she grew up on them. That was her comfort, I love her backstory. I love how she's grown as a character. She's a dope character. She's powerful as hell. And I'm with you. I want to see like a Scarlet Witch movie. Get her in as much Scarlet Witch as we can. Bring her in, and really, you mentioned the trailer is sort of looking like she might be the villain in this movie.
Yeah, I saw that. I mean, it might be like a clip, like, obviously like a scene where she's just kind of like in her head and she's going crazy. She's like, because we all know her mission. If you saw the end of WandaVision, she's looking for her kids. So it's kind of like she's going to do whatever it takes to find her kids. And obviously Doctor Strange has that, like, well, the both of them really, they can kind of, what's the word? Dive into the multiverse and really bring them back if she wanted to. So she's just kind of on this mission to do whatever it takes. And if she has to look like the villain, I feel like that's what they're going to portray us for now. Obviously there's going to be bigger throughout the movie, but she's gonna be like the first villain, whereas like you need to fight her in order to, like, calm her down, I guess, or at least. So we'll see what happens.
It's dope. I'm
cool,
really looking forward to it. Yeah, she's a great character, cool. And it's a cool trajectory she's going on. I'm really digging it. So we'll see. But we're going to dive into our next topic now, which is Halo, the series on Paramount Plus. Dre, I'm going to go ahead and let you set the table on this one, and we're gonna dive into it.
So the reason I wanted to bring this up was, obviously we're talking about the success of Mandalorian. Just I mean, it's like I said, lightning in a bottle. It's extremely successful, extremely popular.
Yeah.
Chapek views that as like a huge franchise, and obviously we know the ramifications of something like that. But I wanted to get into like the opposite spectrum, whereas Halo, from what I understand, is not being received all that well, not really performing all that well. They spent, I think it was $90 million in the series, which is $10 million less than Book of Boba Fett, and they're not necessarily getting a return on investment. They actually got so desperate where they like premiered, or they posted the first episode on YouTube for free to try to get people on board, and even that has middling viewership considering the production value of that series. And I kind of wanted to like ask, because I don't know if anybody's seen it. I hadn't really seen it, but I kind of want to ask, like, why do you think that might be? And a lot of people kind of theorize that because it didn't stick true to the lore and to the franchise itself, and was really kind of Halo in name only. Maybe that's why it didn't actually perform well. And this really brings up an interesting debate about doing stuff for the fans, right? What's the term I'm looking for?
Fan service.
Fan service, yes. Sorry, I do apologize. Fan service versus not, right? When you have maybe creators who want to tell a story using the franchise versus actually kind of going into the franchise full bore and actually capitalizing on the lore and the history of those franchises, and kind of like the juxtaposition between those. Do you think fan service is maybe a good thing, bad thing? How far do you actually get into it? To really capitalize on the franchise that that you've maybe bought, utilized, and so forth, that has this kind of built-in audience, or do you go into the directions that these creators want to actually go into? What do you think about that, guys?
Go ahead, Kyle. I'll start with you, sir.
Gotcha. So I feel as though we spoke about this earlier, is that when it comes to these video games turn TV show movies, they're a huge hit or miss, and honestly, most of the time it's a miss. Because of the direction of the storyline. So you are right about that, Dre, in a sense where it's kind of like sometimes if you're a hardcore fan of the video games and it just doesn't seem like you're going in the right direction, or you want to, like, sometimes the director wants to do something new, or the writers want to do something completely different, but they want to stay inside of that world, it kind of throws fans off because it's throwing them off from what they know. Now, in terms of like movies, I feel like they just never, not even movies, TV, let's just stick to TV shows. They don't get them right. And some of that could also be displaced to, what's the word? Advertisement. Because if you want me to be honest, I'm on the internet all the time. So the fact that I've only seen something pertaining to Halo, the TV series, is when I turned on Paramount Plus, and it had the first screen where they're flipping through what's new, and it showed up. That's the first time I've ever heard of it. Now, to the viewers, I've never actually seen the show as of yet, but it's just something that I'm just now hearing about. And maybe it could be because of advertisement that they're not doing enough, or they're not throwing it out there onto Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, whatever the case may be. Maybe they're trying to do word of mouth, or they're just trying to pertain mainly to the to their core audience, which is the people that play the video game. And I know they just came out with a new Halo video game recently, so maybe they were trying to hopefully piggyback off the hype of the video game plus the TV show, but things just don't work out. And at this point, I don't know where it's gonna go, but I just chalk it up to advertisement at this point. I just don't feel like it was strong enough to let viewers know. And then on top of that, they put it on Paramount Plus. Maybe if they went maybe like a Netflix route, maybe would have done better, because Paramount Plus is still fairly new. And it's, I don't know if it has anything to do with copywritings, because Paramount Plus, and I don't know if Halo, I don't know much about that. I have to look into it, but like maybe it is the streaming side also. Not a lot of people, like I said, not a lot of people have Paramount Plus. Not a lot of people are going to want to buy Paramount Plus just to watch this series, especially if they watch the first episode for free on YouTube and maybe they're like, this is whack. I'm not going to join Paramount Plus just for this. So you kind of have to go somewhere where people kind of have that. Hulu, Netflix, YouTube, even YouTube. YouTube has its own streaming service,
like a premium.
YouTube TV or something.
Maybe throw it on there for now, but Paramount Plus, like I said, is fairly new and not a lot of people have it. So it could be a number of things. You guys let me know who it is. I don't know. So.
Yeah, no, I completely understand what you're saying, Ka, and like this is the thing, like what you mentioned, Dre, like they sort of kind of went away from like the video game, right? In this series, and that's an issue because the selling point of Halo the series, you would think, would be, hey, those of you that play the game, check out this show. And if they're going away from the game, well, then you're kind of like disenfranchising the people that would be interested in your show. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? And so I do think fan service is important. But like anything, it's all about execution, right? Yeah. Like I just watched it, but I'm way late to the party on this one, but I just watched Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oof, super late.
Oh, yeah, really late.
I haven't seen it, so even later than you. I know. I do apologize. I'm sorry.
Trey, what is going on?
Look, listen, somebody's got to read those Chapek articles. Somebody's got to take the hit, man. I got to take one for the team.
Right. No, it's a great movie, though. It's a great movie. It's a lot of fun, and it's is it fan service? Hell yeah, it's fan service. But it's fan service done in a way that's done right. It's fan service in a way that makes sense to the story.
Right.
It's fan service that works. And that's why I think it's been so successful. Like fan service, a lot of times, like people think of fan service as like a bad thing. It can be. You know, sometimes you do it in the wrong way. The execution, it can be bad. But I think if you do it right, I think it can really hit hard. And Spider-Man No Way Home is a perfect textbook example of doing it right. I think with Halo, I think they should have leaned into the fan service and just executed it really well. And instead, they decided, you know what? We're not going to do any fan. We're going to separate ourselves from the game. I just think that's a bad decision. Like you can't do that. Like you have this built-in fan base. Like utilize that fan base. You know what I'm saying?
You have a built-in audience for a reason. These things are big for a reason because of that built-in fan base. So it's like if you don't actually capitalize on the built-in audience, what are you doing? This director, I guess, was like, oh yeah, never played a Halo game, never did this, never did that. It's like, that's not good. And then like in the first, I think it was like the marketing material, Master Chief takes off the helmet like right off the bat. And look, I know very little about Halo, but I know that's not something that is traditionally done. That's not something you do. And like when you go off in that direction that fast, you can really turn people off. As opposed to like something like Sonic, for example, which is hugely successful, probably one of the most successful video game turned movies probably ever. And it leaned really, really hard into that kind of world and took fan criticism about how Sonic looked, to heart, and really paid the money to actually redo that, which was a sizable expense. And it turns out that it was really, really successful. So I don't know, like the interplay between creator and fan. Yeah. I think the stronger those bonds are, I think the better the work. It doesn't work every single time, but more likely than not, the stronger the work actually is. Because it's like, if you're not going to take advantage of your built-in audience, what are you doing?
Well, yeah, and you have to also, like, I think it does take a little bit of, like creative intelligence, like these directors and what have you. Like, they have to sort of understand, too, like, there's a balance with this. Because you don't want to get reactive. You don't want to react to every Twitter, every tweet, and change your movie based on every fan response.
Agreed.
But at the same time, you also want to listen to your fans, right? So you kind of have to, that's a director thing. Like they have to understand, like, okay, what's important, what's not, what's the consensus. They have to listen, but don't go overboard with listening. You kind of have to balance it. So, Cobb, but what are your thoughts?
Oh, I was also going to say that I do understand that when you are a script writer, that you kind of do want to do something new, because you never want to go directly off of
the material.
Directly off the material. Now, a couple examples. Harry Potter. Harry Potter, it's a huge franchise, and it was a bigger franchise book-wise before it was turned into the movies, and then the movies catapulted the franchise into just like a big thing. So it's kind of like people, and this is always it's always a thing when it comes from like book to movie type situation. The fans are going to critique it, but also the script writers, they want to do something new, something kind of switch it up where it's not tit for tat exactly what's in the book. So I feel as though that's what, and I could be just freeballing here mind-wise. That's probably what Halo script writers wanted to do. They were like, we don't want to stick to what the initial script, but maybe they went too far off into like, oh, we're just going to make a new thing and slap Halo's name on it, and people are going to watch it anyway because the name Halo was on it. And they tried to do something different, and that's where the creativity was trying to come out. It's a new age, new era where people are complaining already on Twitter or anywhere, Reddit, I don't know. They're complaining that there is nothing special. There's so many reboots, so many things that are being redone, where I feel like people are watching this on the internet spectrum, and they're like, okay, so we need to switch things up. But sometimes it doesn't always work. So.
Right. Yeah. You go too far. You kind of have to know your limits and
exactly.
and what fans will actually accept and take. Maybe what's more consistent, not consistent with the lore, and and where those kind of barriers and limits can go. And maybe if it's one of those things, probably the kind of the slow route is maybe the better play, where it's like, hey, let's stick to the franchise as closely as possible, and then kind of like divert from it slowly as we kind of gain the what is it, the kind of the trust from fans to actually do that in the right way. Maybe that's the key. It's a hard thing. It's a really hard thing as these franchises get bought out and turned into these works. It's a dangerous interplay.
Well, and Disney has seen this with their live action remakes of the animated movies. Right. Some of them work and some of them don't. And like, I'll give you two examples of two of my favorite live action remakes.
Let's see if I agree with you.
Oh, this is gonna be interesting.
Here we go. Cinderella and Jungle Book.
Okay.
Cinderella and Jungle Book. I think both of those movies, they took what was great about the originals, but then they expanded on it, and they kind of gave their own little twist, their own little flavor to it, right? So it wasn't a complete like retconning of the original, but it was like just enough nostalgia and just enough new with that perfect mix, especially Jungle Book. I loved what they did with Jungle Book. I
completely agree. Yeah, I agree with that.
Fantastic movie, right?
Yeah, that was actually really good. And that actually doesn't get a lot of I feel like that movie doesn't get a lot of attention that it deserves because it was such a good live action, but it kind of got lost within the rest of the live action that came out because I guess Jungle Book wasn't a strong enough movie to keep up the momentum, whereas like Aladdin per se. By the way, I loved Aladdin. I thought Aladdin was so well casted, and I liked the differences that they threw in with the movie. And they weren't even going to add Abu in there. Thank God they last minute added him in there because I was like, if you're not adding Abu, like cancel the movie. But anyways, but Jungle Book was really well done. I think the worst one that they did, and this is kind of coincides with what we're talking about now, whereas they kind of went completely off the trails with Halo, is Mulan. I
was gonna bring it up.
I was so upset about that.
Yeah,
I was definitely. I think me and my friends, it was quarantine. We got together safely. We got together and we watched it, and we're just like, "What is this shit?" we all collectively were kind of just like, what? Like we were upset because we loved Mushu, and obviously we knew that Mushu. People were complaining about it that he was not accurate, racially accurate. I guess people didn't like the character, whatever. But Mushu he's a big staple in
the original film.
Yeah, in the original film. And then the love interest, they didn't really do anything with that, and they went a completely different route with this witch. And I was just like, this is not the Mulan I know. I hated it. So if you want to compare that to how people feel about Halo, then that Halo is my Mulan. Mulan is my Halo. There you go.
Well, that's an interesting thing. Like when you go off in that direction and it doesn't hit, and you know, from what I understand, there were some maybe geopolitics at play with Mulan that kind of, you know, mucked things up a little bit. And yeah, I mean, you can go far out, and now that built-in audience is like, whoa, that's not quite the way it is. But you know, the one movie I will say that kind of went off in its own direction, but really executed it extremely well, I thought, Cruella. I think it's the modern version of that, right? Where it's like, hey, we're gonna go off in a completely different direction, take this character who was an antagonist, make her a protagonist, and like, you know, really go full bore with it. That was executed at a very high level. I agree. Those creatives, you know, to do that to that extent, I mean, they, like you said, OG, it's the execution. You have to execute at a high level in order to pull that off, and they really, really did. So, you know, this can kind of go back and forth. My feeling is maybe lead into the audience a little bit, but hey, if you can do a Cruella, I'm all for it.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, OG. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying the Cruella angle that they picked for like this whole like fashion designer thing.
Yeah.
So dope.
Which is so brilliant. It fit the character. It fit like it was really great. But go ahead, Kyle.
No, I was just basically I was agreeing. Like my friends, we walked away from that like, wow, that was really good. Even though some things didn't add up in terms of like we just thought one part was a little weird but they're animals. I guess it doesn't really matter. But like I might be gonna get into it. But
we go and brush over that.
we literally left. I'm like, that's weird, but whatever. I actually liked. I personally liked it, and a lot of people did not like it. I liked Maleficent. A lot of people did not like the direction that Maleficent went in, but I thought it was such a well done movie because it literally followed the steps of the movie of Sleeping Beauty, but it did that weird twist where the reason why she like it gave us an insight to why she's evil, and it was kind of like love made her heartbroken. And I was like, that's so smart because it's such a Disney thing to do. Where obviously, you know, we have all these princess movies and they're about love, but where Maleficent is kind of like you're showing her backstory, and hers was a Disney movie, but it turned evil because, you know, the guy clipped off. I was like, this is dark. This is good. Yeah. I love the action. Second movie, I wasn't expecting much from the second movie. I love the action, maybe because I'm an action person, so I love that type of stuff. And plus, I love Angelina Jolie, so I'm a little biased. But
no, you know, can't criticize it there.
Yeah, but it's I thought that one was really well done also, but they knew how to switch up the storyline and make it its own, just same as Cruella. So now I'm thinking, are they gonna do this with like their villains now? But I don't want them to be likable. That's kind of the thing. Like, no, I want to dislike them. I don't. And like, there's a new Lion King 2 coming out, a prequel now, and I'm just like, I don't know how I feel about that because you are stepping into brand new territory we've never heard anything about before with Scar and Mufasa. So it's kind of like, this is brand new. I don't know how you guys are gonna flip this. You guys gonna make Scar seem like give him an upbringing. I don't know how this is gonna work, but it's all about that writing. Let's see how they do.
Exactly, it's all about the execution. Do you know? I'm not familiar with it. Do you know? Is it Jon Favreau that's working on that one?
No, so he's not connected to the second movie. It's somebody else. I honestly forget who the guy is.
Risky.
But, yeah, it's kind of, it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
We'll see how it pans out. It like I think that the kind of message of the day is really just execution. It really comes down to the directors and the people that are running these projects to kind of understand, okay, what's the core appeal of these franchises? What do we keep? What do we change? And it comes down to that. And it doesn't seem like the people that were doing the Halo series really got that right mix. They kind of
wanted to just throw something out there because of the name Halo, and you kind of get stuck with what you have, even though you have $90 million to work with. It's kind of like, do your research beforehand. I don't know. I think that's play the video game before you start making this show. You know, like that's literally research. Play the video game.
Right.
Come on.
No, exactly. Even if you go in a different direction, at least when the guy came out and say, I've never played the game in my life, it's like, okay, that's a huge red flag. I mean, at least play the game, get an idea for what this is, and then you can go ahead and kind of say, okay, this works, that doesn't. But to just be like, oh yeah, I'm going into this I'm making a series about something I never played before. Yeah, man, it's just not a good look. Yeah, whoopsies, not a good look. But we're gonna pivot to our next topic now, which is Encanto. There has been a song from this movie that has swept the nation. It's getting all kinds of play. I think it was Disney Animation's first #1 on Billboard.
Mm-hmm.
Crazy huge. The song that we're talking about is "We Don't Talk About Bruno." Dre, what are your thoughts on this? Because this is kind of like, it seems like Disney was sort of caught off guard by what a gargantuan hit this song is. What are your thoughts on this in terms of just overall, like Disney kind of missing the boat? Like they didn't know what they had, and where are you at?
It's really an interesting story because the film in theaters didn't perform all that well, and yet when it hit Disney Plus, it really did blow up to a considerable extent. So it is one of those things. I think that's why Bob Chapek wants to be flexible with these kind of things going forward, because you just never know what medium is going to actually hit with certain things. And, you know, maybe you have a family film who, hey, you know what, we kind of want to stay in and want to watch it with the kids, versus where you have like a Spider-Man where it's like, hey, you know what, that's a kind of a theatrical kind of film that people will actually go out and see. So it's this interesting interplay going on. But as to the song itself, I mean, I don't know. I kind of have a contrarian take on this. I kind of have a take where it's like, I think maybe they knew that it was going to be successful, and maybe they, I don't know, promoted it via the song and paid for that radio play in order to have it blow up in the way it did. That's kind of my thing, and to get people to go on Disney Plus to actually see it, maybe they worked their magic with radio and Billboard play to actually get it to in that direction. That's kind of how I'm looking at it, because the song is good. I'm not saying it's bad, but you know, I don't know. I don't know if it's surely organic. I don't know. I might be fully off base here. I might not know what I'm talking about. But Kyle, what do you think about all of this?
I love Bruno. I love this song. It's so weird that this song blew up the way that it did, because I swear, and I have to find this soon, but I had a tweet when before the movie came out, I was already hyped about the movie. I just love Disney. I love animation. So I'm like, this is so cool. I'm just excited to hear the music, yada, yada. So a week before the movie came out, I was listening to the soundtrack, and I think I listened to like each song, and then I posted it on Twitter, like my review or like my thought of the song. And then when it came to the Bruno song, I listened to it in full, and I was immediately hooked. I was like, this song, and if I remember correctly, I tweeted, this song is so different from what Disney has done. I think they have a hit. Something in that order. And then I just bypassed it. I went to something else. Sure. And then the movie comes out. It does okay box office wise. It really bomb. It's just like pandemic wise, it did okay for a pandemic. Then Disney Plus came out. Now, where I feel like this song really blew up was TikTok. TikTok took it right after the movie debuted on Disney Plus. Now you have free access to a movie where kids can watch this over and over. Anybody can watch it for free. It's literally by word of mouth. Did you watch Encanto? Have you seen? Listen to the song. Watch this TikTok. There's certain scenes certain parts of the song that were so catchy that they were like, okay, let's just do what we can with this song. And then I don't know about organic. I'm not sure about organic, but if Disney knew they had a hit on their hands beforehand, even when it was in theaters before Disney Plus, it just wasn't going to do well. So I feel like maybe it did happen organically because TikTok nowadays can blow anything up.
Yeah,
and
that's very true.
When you hear that song, now it makes you curious to be like, okay, I want to watch the now let's watch the movie. Kids blew up Frozen, so now this is basically the new Frozen. So I mean, honestly, I knew it was a hit beforehand, but the way that it blew up, am I really surprised? Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm surprised. No, like, I'm not gonna lie. Like, I thought Frozen was gonna be Disney's biggest song. I mean, Let It Go.
Let It Go.
And this surpassed Let It Go. It surpassed was it A Whole New World #2, which was like 1992. Like, and for it to be #1 for almost like 5 weeks,
it's crazy.
Crazy.
That's a significant achievement.
It is. I here's the thing. I think it was. I actually think it was organic, and I actually think it caught Disney by surprise. And the only reason I'm saying that, and because Disney's missed the boat on stuff before, that, like, many times, you know. But like, I'm gonna bring up an article. It says here that the Oscar, this is for Bruno, right? Because this is why that the song wasn't nominated in the Oscars. Disney actually didn't submit it.
Yeah, no.
The Oscar submission deadline for this category was the 1st of November, but Encanto wasn't released until 3 weeks later, the 21st of November. Right. And it says here, as a result, Disney were in the position of trying to predict which song of the film would connect the most with the public before any of the public actually saw it. And that kind of shows to me, that whole line right there, the fact that they didn't submit this song kind of shows to me like Disney didn't know. They really did not think that this song was going to be that catch fire song.
Yeah.
And even like, look, I'm surprised too. I got to be completely honest with you, because a lot of the songs, the Disney songs that catch fire, are the songs that sort of like, they kind of have a vague message where you can kind of like apply it to your own life in many ways.
Inspirational
right?
type music.
Exactly. So you like a Let It Go, like Kai, you mentioned Let It Go from Frozen. That's a song where like you can listen to a song, not watch the movie, but still get something out of it. Like you can be getting into, like you can be quitting a job that you find toxic, you don't like anymore. You're going to let it go. You're going to move on, right? A relationship that's not working out, you're going to let it go. You're going to move on. Like this is kind of like a very evergreen sort of relatable topic for a song. Whole New World. Same kind of thing. Hey, you're starting a new job. You're starting a new relationship. It's a whole new world. It's relatable, right? You can relate it to just about anything going on in one's life.
And both of those things are very meme-worthy.
Very meme-worthy. Where Bruno, this is why it surprised me that Bruno caught fire like it did. Bruno is a very specific song specifically for the movie. If you listen to the song and you didn't watch the movie, you probably have no idea who
the hell is Bruno. Exactly. You're dumbfounded. Like, what? Why is this song so big? Also, another thing that nobody really catches, but I've always caught this because I get into weird things like this. But if the movie soundtrack has a song that is done, like it's done by the original singer, and if it's done by somebody else, by like a big time artist, that song is always going to be nominated for an Oscar. They always do that. That is that's the kind of like the thing that they do. I'm sorry, I couldn't find the word. But if you look at what do you call it? Taylor's all the time, Beauty and the Beast.
Oh, Beauty and the Beast, yeah.
That was redone by somebody else. Reflections from Mulan. That was done by Christina Aguilera.
Yes.
That went on to go How Far I'll Go. Moana, Alicia Cara redid that song. So it's kind of like same as Let It Go. Demi Lovato sang that song.
Right.
Whenever those songs are redone, those are the songs Disney knows that's gonna be like their top tier, and it's always being redone by somebody famous nowadays because they want that song to blow up because they know that that's gonna be the pivotal song of that movie. So they're always gonna what do you call it? Nominate that. They're like submit that for the Oscar. Same as Dos Oruguitas, that was done by the original guy, but it was redone in English by the same guy. So it was kind of like, right off the bat, I knew that they were going to submit that for an Oscar. They did, but they weren't. Then they were expecting that song to kind of blow up, or for that to become the main song, same as like Moana, How Far I Go, Let It Go, Frozen, yada yada. So I picked up on that, and so then OG, you're technically right. They didn't know that Bruno was going to be a hit at all, because if that was the case, then they would have definitely submitted that into the for the Oscars, and that's why they performed it at the Oscars, because it's unheard of to perform 2 songs from the same soundtrack on the same night. Only the songs that are nominated are usually the ones that are performed. I pick up on little stuff like this. So.
Yeah, 100%. That song wasn't even nominated, and yet they performed it. They were caught off guard. They had no idea.
Yep, and they knew it was going to bring in traction. Like, we don't talk about Bruno being performed live. What? Everybody's going to tune in. Like, it's just such a smart marketing scheme on the Oscars part, because they knew the Oscars were like, nobody's watching that. If you're gonna be honest, nobody's watching the Oscars like that. So you get families, adults to watch. We don't talk about Bruno live for the first time. Yeah, come on. It's marketing schemes, actually very smart. But Disney didn't know. They did not know, and thoroughly surprised.
I guess it's blown up in the country community as well, which is kind of an odd thing for it to be in right there. And look, Disney's on board with this song now. I mean, we're already hearing about it making its debut in Harmonious very soon. Also, we just got an announcement. Yes, they want I know we're gonna go off into the parks a little bit, but Harmonious wasn't the smashing success that they kind of felt that it should be, especially for how much they invested. But that's a whole nother story. And so they're already looking at ways to kind of transform it. And yes, we don't talk about Bruno. It's going to play a huge part in that overall overhaul for that show. But also too, we got the announcement yesterday with Small World and how they're going to be debuting like a little kind of Encanto segment. Featuring that song in particular as part of that whole thing. So I mean, they're going full in on it. So it Disney's on board now.
That's their big, literally their big. That's why. Unfortunately, we're talking about the parks. I'm gonna make it short, but Disney knows now how big of a movie Encanto is, that they're gonna try to incorporate this movie into the parks finally. And I think it might be faster than Frozen. I think it took Frozen a couple years in order for it to like be brought into like parades, stuff like that. So they know that it'll be a missed opportunity, especially because how fire it is right now, to not add it into the parks. We might even see a ride. I think we're personally going to see a ride maybe 4 years from now, 4 or 5 years.
I'd be down for that. I mean, and I think the perfect spot to put it, at least in Anaheim, would be California Adventure. California is very, very much influenced on Latin culture, and I think like an Encanto ride, or people even have brought up Coco. I think that's a perfect fit for something like that.
The protagonist from the film from Encanto, it's Maribel, is that correct?
Yes, the protagonist, Maribel, yeah.
Right, and her meet and greet has just like, dude, it's hard to get in line for that thing and stick around for her to actually see her, because it is so long, kind of thing. So it's definitely blown up in that way. We're seeing it's the implementation of that film in like the Electrical Parade for its 50th anniversary. A lot of people are like, hey, can we get like an Encanto overlay for Tarzan's Treehouse, and because it's been down for so long, so that's kind of bubbling up. And
I hope not. I want to see Tarzan's Treehouse before anything happens. I'm a huge. So Tarzan's number 4 on my list of like my favorite movies. So I just need to see the Treehouse in all its glory, because in Disney World we have Swiss Family Treehouse. I walked through. I'm like, it's cool, but I'm like, I found out Disneyland had it, and I'm like, whoa, I can't wait to do it. But it's been down ever since I've been to Disneyland. I'm just like,
that's the unfortunate thing, isn't it?
Kai, you know what? Finally, I love Tarzan too. That's a beautiful movie.
Such a good movie.
So underrated. So underrated.
One of the best movies that have one of the best soundtracks and one of the best movies. And I'm just like, why is Disney not doing enough with this movie? It's so annoying.
The
wild.
is the soundtrack done by, is it Sting?
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins. So sorry. Yo said, so yeah, Sting, that was a whole other thing. Sorry, I do apologize. Yeah, Phil Collins, Genesis fame. Right. Okay, so that soundtrack is awesome. The scores, the ensemble, there's some kind of beautiful emotional pieces in that film that are just highly applicable to everybody. Like the kind of the cool what is it, kind of limb surfing kind of thing, you know, how Glenn Keane, I think he was inspired by his skateboarding son and kind of like took that and like went, just awesome. That's just a super cool film. There's a reason why it's like the last film of the Renaissance, because it kind of does hold up. I understand, you know, there are better films as part of the Renaissance era, but that one, don't overlook for sure.
Yeah,
no,
I do get why. I do understand why they don't use it enough in the parks, which it sucks. But it is what it is because of copywriting and everything like that. I get it, but I don't know. So I just need to see Tarzan Treehouse before anything done. And I do see them. The last time I was in Disneyland, sorry, we're going into park.
That's okay. That's okay.
They were just. I saw them working on it. They're not renovating it. I mean, they're renovating it. They're not like reconstructing. What do you call it? Reimagining it. They're not
right.
So it's just they're just taking their sweet time. I just need them to open at least by October.
You'll love it, Kyle. You'll love it. The Tarzan Treehouse is really cool. They got the music in there. They got some really cool figures and everything. You go up. It's a cool experience. It really is. You get some great views of Disneyland.
Oh my goodness!
That's another thing. I want to see that too. So
Tarzan's Treehouse, you know, it was a way to save the treehouse, because originally Paul Presser wanted to get rid of it entirely, make a shop out of that space and stuff like that. I mean, he was quite the interesting figurehead. But anyway, but Tony Baxter's like, hey, no, we got to save the treehouse. Like, this has been a part of Disneyland's history for so long. Tarzan ended up being a good enough hit to overlay it on, and hey, look, I'm just grateful we have it. It's a pretty cool, unique thing. There's not a lot of attractions like it anymore. It's grandfathered into the kind of the ADA classification, because obviously people who are disabled can't actually go up in it. So to get another Tarzan's Treehouse, you'll never have it again. I'm glad it's still with us, and it's just one of those other activities that you can do in the park.
I heard it's a great movie. Screens, not screens, but like moving up to like certain like cool like features to it. Like that's what I heard that they're putting to it. So I'm like, hey, if you make it more like interactive, I think that'd be cool. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. Now, Koff, from judging from your Twitter, you're a pretty big Hercules fan, if I'm not mistaken.
Oh, I'm a huge Hercules fan. I even have a tattoo of Hercules.
Oh, nice.
There's Hercules and Pegasus. Yeah,
that's awesome.
If that's any indication how big of a fan I am, then yeah, I'm a big fan. So.
That's awesome. And that's another movie I absolutely loved, Hercules, and that's underrepresented in the parks. You know,
ridiculous.
The Hercules Parade, back when that movie actually came out, was hugely successful. Yeah, that's a really interesting couple of stories there.
Wish I got to see that one, but you know.
Yeah, I know.
And you know what the worst part about it is that there was a Hercules, if I'm not mistaken, Hercules Electrical Parade in Times Square in 1997, and I am pissed because I live literally about 10 minutes away from New York City. Like, I hop on the train and I'm there. But 1997, I'm like 5, 6 years old. Well, obviously, I'm not doing that. And like, my parents knew that I had a lunchbox, I had everything. But I guess because of like the internet, it wasn't really that like around at that time. And I had a computer, but like they weren't really looking up stuff like that. I guess word of mouth was through like flyers, newspapers, stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't really know about it. And I'm pissed that now I'm grown and I get to do all these things, and I missed out on all of it.
If I remember it correctly, because it was a long time ago, but if I remember correctly, it was Hercules on the Pegasus.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Really cool float.
I watched it on YouTube. Cool. That's the only reason why I know. So.
Yeah, that was really cool, man. There's a lot of properties at Disney, I think, sort of. You know, they sort of maybe they didn't do that great in the box office. They didn't flop necessarily, but they weren't.
Yeah, it just wasn't a big hit like Little Mermaid was, or
right,
stuff like that. That's where I feel like they knew that they were gonna what's the word? that's where I knew Disney. That's where Disney knew. Dang, I'm messing up my words. That's where Disney knew how they were going to cement it in the park was by box office and by popularity. So obviously they saw Little Mermaid does extremely well. Boom, she has her own ride.
20 years down the line, but yeah, she got it.
Like, come on, like it just makes, and it does make sense. So I'm not surprised that like Hercules doesn't have a big presence within the park because it didn't do that great, even compared to, I think Pocahontas did better than Hercules, and I was like, but you guys, whatever, beautiful movie, but still, it has its problems. But it's like even that did better, so I'm not surprised, but it does suck. But the thing is, Disney goers and people or watchers, they love nostalgia. That's kind of what it is, and I feel as though Disney now should play into nostalgia more than anything. But I don't. They're not, and they like to move forward, and I get it. I completely do get it. But it's like you kind of have to do a great balance of giving to the oldies, but then portraying to the newbies. So
right,
it is what it is.
100%. Yeah, Disney has issues with that. They like to they'll pound a certain franchise into the ground, like like just beat that dead horse like crazy, and then other franchises they completely ignore.
Yeah. And that's why I like to go to. I'm sorry, I just keep talking. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I'm saying that's why I like to go to the hard ticket parties because. Sorry, my phone's dying. I'm just trying to plug up my charger. That's why I like to go to these hard ticket parties in Disney World because I get to see so many rare characters that you will never see out anymore regularly. Like I think I saw where do they go? Atlantis, Kida, and Milo. Oh. I love Atlantis. Like nobody knows that, but it's not even. It's like on my top 10, not my top 5. But I love Atlantis. Such a good movie. And the only way to see them was at the Sweethearts Night in Disneyland. And Hercules. I got to see Hercules and Meg Sweetheart Night in Disney, but you'll never catch them out on like regularly when they could be walking around Tomorrowland, and Hercules could be walking around Fantasyland, stuff like that. Like it's just like Disney doesn't think about stuff like that. So
and the thing that's cool about Atlantis that I love personally, and just as being an animation nerd, is that it kind of reminded me of the animation style. It was kind of a throwback to the 101 Dalmatians animation style in a lot of ways. It kind of reminded me a little bit of that, the way that Milo was drawn and everything.
I get what you mean.
Yeah, it was just kind of cool. I really liked that. It was just kind of a cool. The artistry in that movie was really, really dope. Go ahead, Ray.
They spent so much money on that movie, and it was supposed to be a big, blockbuster hit for Disney Animation. And I know that the animation staff really took a lot of chances with that movie, and they were kind of on the edge. This was one of the big, huge ones after the Jeffrey Katzenberg era, and it's like, even like the Submarine Voyage overlay. I mean, the Imagineers are really banking on it. And it just flopped, and it's just like, because there were so many great ideas that were coming as a result of that we just never, unfortunately, got to see. And sometimes, I think the big thing is, one of the themes of this whole show is you just never know what's going to hit. You just never know what's going to strike up a chord with the audience. Sometimes, you think Mando's going to be a certain size, and it just blows up. And then you have Atlantis, and you're like, oh, man, this is going to be great. This is going to be awesome. This is going to be so good. And then it just dies a dog's death at the box office.
And that was Disney's rough era, too. Like, Disney really had a tough time in 2000. Yeah. What was it, 2001? 2000 to 2000?
The early 2000s,
like 5 or 6. They were struggling. And they had their good hits with, I think, Monsters, Inc., but that's Pixar. Lilo and Stitch. That was like their biggest, but then the other ones like Chicken Little, Brother Bear, Brother Bear, I absolutely love. By the way, that's like number 6.
There was some lean years there.
Like, what was the worst one? Home on the Range. Once Home on the Range.
Home on the Range was
It was just like Disney was like, okay, we're just gonna stop real quick. Let's just let's rehuddle, let's rethink everything because something's not working.
But no, that's what Bob Iger, that's why Bob Iger was like, well, wait a minute, we got to go and acquire Pixar, not just do a deal with them, because his big thing was we kind of lost our step kind of thing. We need an infusion of new talent to really spread throughout the ranks. And, those successes can kind of reverberate through the entire company. So Pixar, it wasn't just the films or their catalog of films or their films going forward, but it was the Brain Trust that he was really hyped about. And hey, we saw some really, really great films come out of that.
Great movies. But I grew up through that terrible Disney Renaissance, so that's why I'm like, I personally love not Renaissance 1990. Obviously, I don't even know what to call the 2000s.
They call it something.
The Bronze Era, I think, or something, right? Something weird. Yeah,
sure,
but it wasn't
Bronze Era.
great.
But like, I grew up doing that. And that's why I hugely love Brother Bear, and I hugely love Atlantis. So other than that, every other movie was kind of pretty corny. Like I didn't like Chicken Little that much. I thought it was kind of corny. I don't even remember anything else. A Treasure Planet,
like you said. Yeah,
I've never watched Treasure Planet because I didn't.
Check that one out. That one's actually pretty dope. That one's actually pretty cool.
I'm gonna watch that, since thank God Disney Plus is a thing. Yeah. So I can say, hey, I'll watch it later. So I will.
That one's pretty cool. That was pretty cool. But it's wild. It's wild. Well, there is one, before we go, there is one thing that's interesting about, like, it's kind of tied to Atlantis and kind of tied to the submarine voyage. Disney Plus, and this is, I'm going to definitely keep an eye on this series, but Disney Plus is releasing a 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea series.
I think I've heard of that.
Right?
That sounds so dope.
So if that catches fire, we don't know because these things are very unpredictable, like we've talked about the whole show. But like, if that catches fire, that'll be very interesting to see what they do with the submarines in Disneyland. If they're going to convert it to that, take away the Nemo theme and do 20,000 Leagues. So we'll see how that.
I don't know.
I don't know about that.
I don't know about that. Nemo's he's too popular for them to take that out, especially for a TV. And that's another thing, hit or misses. Disney Plus TV shows, like even their originals, are so hit and miss. Like at this point, I don't think like they're trying to be on a scale of Netflix with their TV shows, but Disney Plus isn't having a great run when it comes to their original own TV shows. So stuff like that, the only way that would hit is like nostalgia from the show. I mean, from the rise itself, and they kind of people want to watch it. But like other than that, like I know for myself personally, I don't watch a lot of Disney Plus original shows because I don't know why. I just don't have an interest for it. Maybe because I don't know. I just don't.
I feel you. I'm the same way. I gave High School Musical the series a chance, and I actually ended up fucking loving that show, which is kind of funny because I didn't even like the movies, but I watched the show. And I'm like, oh, the show is great.
I can't get mad at you. I really can't. I was about to say no, but growing up, I absolutely had a phase. It was a high school phase. And when I tell you, it was awkward, and I will never show pictures of it, but you know, I loved it. Like, I thought that movie was so cool back in the day. Watching it now, it's cringy, but I thought it was cool.
Hey, it was a hugely successful franchise for the company when they needed one, so.
Yeah. That was so weird. Yeah. That's a weird one too. Like, see, it just goes to show you never know what is going to be a hit and what's going to be a miss. Because at the time, I remember clowning High School Musical. I'm like, this is so corny. Like, I remember watching like the promotionals, and I'm like, this seems so cheesy. And then I watched the movie that, like, when it premiered for some weird reason the night before. I remember buying the soundtrack at like Kmart or something, and then I was like, "Yeah, let me listen to this. Yeah, this is so corny." And then I ended up loving it, and I'm just like, what? Like, my thought process is so weird, especially when I was younger. But it was
it works like that. Like because I got the channel, I was like, I'm like, okay, Disney Plus premiered. I gotta watch this High School Musical show. I want to kind of review a few of these early launch date shows and movies, right? So I really only watched it because of that. And I'm watching it, and I'm like, damn, this is good. I'm like, then then every week I watch my Mando, and then I watch High School Musical. Watch my Mando, my High School Musical. I'm like, okay, I really, really enjoyed it. It really kind of blew my mind that I liked it as much as I did. And there's just the chemistry. I think the kids, they're like all friends in real life, or maybe they were. I think there's been
that's a whole story,
whole other thing. But like at the time, I think they were all really cool, and it really does resonate on the screen. You can really tell it's a genuine friendship. So I just really like the show. But fascinating. It just You're right though, Kyle. Like some of these Disney Plus original shows are not that great. There's a few that are good, but some of them aren't.
Even their movies aren't, like their original movies aren't that great. If it's not embedded, but you see the thing is sorry, I know we're about to wrap up, but if it's not embedded in a franchise or something that's already like
established
out there, then it's kind of nobody wants to try anything new right now. Right?
That's we've been so conditioned, you know. That's a really unfortunate thing. But hey, you know what? 20,000 Leagues does sound pretty cool, and I think the next big thing on the horizon is going to be probably Obi-Wan. That's a pretty.
Oh heck yeah!
That's a pretty big one.
You started, Dre. Come on.
Sorry, had to bring it up.
Oh man,
a lot of conversation around that already.
Yeah, we'll do a show on that, and Kyle, we'll have you back on for that one for sure.
I'm down.
That's going to be a whole thing, and that Kenobi thing is going to be. I think it's going to be really. It's going to be fire. I'm a huge look. I was a little older when the prequels came out, but I'm a huge prequels fan. I like Hayden Christensen. I like Ewan McGregor and the prequels.
Awesome.
Yeah, Revenge of the Sith is my favorite. All-time favorite Star Wars movie. So for me personally, because like I said, I grew up in that era. So I loved it. So I will definitely be on for that show. So.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when it comes out next month for sure. I want to thank you guys so much. It was a great conversation today. We got into a lot of great stuff. I want to thank you guys for coming on. I want to thank everybody for watching this episode of the Orange Nerd Show. I'll go through my panel to close it out. Vash, Dre, host of Freshly Squeezed. If you can let everybody home know where they can find you on social media.
Best place to find me, interact with me is going to be at Vash Sky on Twitter, just like it's spelled right over there. A lot of great discussions, a lot of great interesting feedback. So that's always welcomed. And yeah, you know what? It's interesting. Let us know what you're kind of, what you're thinking about any of these topics, your favorite, Disney films, or what are you looking forward to from Disney Plus or any of these other streaming sites or whatever. I think that would be really, really cool to go over. And to see me, well, it's on the channel you're watching right now at OrangeGrove55 at Freshly Squeezed, your source for juicy news and info squeezed fresh right from the Grove. So that's where you can find me.
Perfect. And down below, Mr. King.com. You can let everybody at home know where they can find you on social media.
All right, so social media, if you would like to follow me. On my Instagram, it is KingTheCop_92. If you want to hear my thoughts and opinions on things, then you can follow my YouTube, which is King the Cop. And if you would like me to go even further into my thoughts, then you can follow me on Twitter at KingTheCop92.
You heard the man. That's where you can find him. Check him out. Subscribe to his YouTube channel. I want to thank everybody for watching today. Fun conversation. Like, subscribe, comment down below with all your thoughts on a host of things that we discussed today. A lot of great stuff today. I want to thank you all for watching. And as always, have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you very much.